What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. That time, the entrepreneurial web, the entrepreneurial hour. I'm your host, Jeremiah Fox. Before I introduce my guest today, the message for the week. This comes from somebody I listen to a lot. Are you familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk?
Gary V.
Gary V.
For sure.
Listen to a lot of Gary V. And I think I've used this one before, but I'm using it again. It's so good. And he said, if you want to build the biggest building in town, don't worry about the size of everybody else's building. You're not going to get there by knocking other buildings down. Instead, just focus on building the biggest building in town, one brick at a time. Another one that my martial arts instructor used to always say is, if you want to knock a tree down, don't think of coming in and knocking it down like you're going to take it down in one day. But if you came out and hit that tree 5 times a day, eventually that tree will fall. So instead of knocking other trees down, think about how you can build your tree up and do it 5 little cracks at a time.
True.
With that, I'd like to introduce my guest. He's an old friend. He was also my head bartender back in,
2016.
2016. His name is long. We knew him as Tor, but your birth name is?
Is Tornike Amiranashvili, yeah. And that's my full name.
And he's from Savannah, Georgia.
Savannah, it's right next to Daytona.
No, you're
probably not. No, I'm from Republic of Georgia. It's a small country in Eastern Europe, surrounded by Russia, our favorite quote, Russia, and Turkey. So not Savannah exactly.
But they got good beaches.
We've got great beaches.
I love to watch the guys that do the bars.
Weightlifting is it's huge. Everything associated with weights in Georgia, it's just.
But also the guys that just do the calisthenics they do like the muscle ups and the bars.
For sure.
That's really fascinating. I've seen some great stuff. Looks like a place I'd like to visit one day.
It's very masculine country, like you go there, you see that a lot of people eat meat and everything is meat and everything is like big, and people just don't understand. When I went there, I was fasting for almost month, and I was not eating any meat. And a lot of people, unless it's a religious fasting, people don't understand anything else but religious fasting. If I'm saying I'm doing for purpose of cleansing myself, you're like, are you crazy? Why would you do that? Like, why would you not eat meat? Are you crazy? And for some times when I was not eating red meat, I was eating only chicken, and it's like, are you crazy? Well, chicken is not a meat. It's just a fish. So that's kind of like
that ground fish.
Yeah, it just walks.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty cool over there.
Sounds like a place I'd like to hang. So tell everybody a little about yourself. You were working here after you had a couple of your own startups.
Correct, yes.
And kind of in between degrees as well. So give us a little chronology and background of where you came. I mean, we know where you came from, but business-wise.
So starting a little bit before my startups, it started with my job. So in 2013, I got this really nice internship in this private equity company. And I was working there for about the 1 year, and then everything went smooth. And they just like, we're opening a venture capital in New York City, and why don't you join us? We have one startup that we're investing currently, and we're gonna be basically promoting this startup, and you're gonna be working closely with the CEO of the startup, and you're gonna be basically doing everything whatever is required as a representative. And basically, they named me as a deputy CEO of the company. 2014, around the early 2015, and the company was basically in educational technology. So what they were trying to do, to bring American-style education of computer science courses to like Bangladesh, India, since it's like a fastest growing industry right now, and bring it to the countries where they don't have, maybe they do right now, but back then it was a huge opportunity of the growth. And there was the companies like Coursera and General Assembly, they were trying to fill in, but they were trying to focus in the United States market, whereas we were trying to primarily focus there. So I started working in this company. I've gained really good experience, and I've learned a lot of stuff along the way. We've launched successfully in India. It was not a huge success when I started because it still was in the startup stage, but we achieved some milestones. So we had pretty good results based on our sales and everything. But at some point, I realized that it was not right fit as an industry wise for me, and I was thinking too, maybe I need to figure out something on my own, because I was feeling that all these constraints and all these, because the company of the startup was run by venture capitalists. So it was not the CEO who was making decisions. Instead, this investor head guy was running everything, and he would call us in the middle of the night, and he was from Luxembourg, and he saw some commercial, and oh, you should do this, and totally misunderstanding of the situation, whatsoever. And like one day he's calling, I was in India right now, and I saw this sneakers bar, and they're promoting, so if you buy this, you get free video of whatever. Why don't we do this similar promotion for our educational videos? So I was like, what's going on here? Whoa. And I was like, at the end of it was so like ambiguous and obscure. I was like, you know what? I'm out. And I settled, like, I took my time to think about it. What I want to do, like what I'm passionate. I certainly am passionate for startups, being not like, I don't understand the idea of being my own boss and not doing anything, creating residual income. And I don't understand this notion. I don't understand, because when people pursue this, it's stupid. I say to them, like, what's the reason of your pursuing startup? Oh, I want to build so I can retire. I was like, if you're trying to retire, go work 24/7 for 10 years, invest in whatever you want to invest, and just don't bother startup with your stupid ideas, you know?
They want to They want to hang out on the beaches in Georgia.
Yeah, in Georgia. I know. Eating red meat, right? Yes.
Sounds perfect.
Perfect, right? But like, for what I've seen so far, like, it works out perfectly. Something comes along and it messes up everything. So I took my time, and I decided to just concentrate on my own thinking, what I'm going to do, like why I want to do it. Like, and asking big questions. But remember this, Jeremiah, I'm in the beginning of my career, not knowing nothing about working in one venture capital firm,
Yeah.
So I'm being very clueless what's going on, what I'm going to do. And I have big ideas, like great ideas, big ideas. And I spend nights writing and rewriting and pivoting and doing models. And I say, oh my God, this is epiphany. This is next big thing. Google's gonna be next, like second after this. And then next day you wake up, it sucks. Let's start from all over again. And the thing was that the idea comes to start something in the beginning of your career when you're just curious. Can you do it? And curiosity unveils this different path for you, And when you unveil this path, then it leads to the dark forest. It never leads to anywhere else.
Right.
It leads to the darkest, like the worst. Like, that there's there's goblins and everybody, and it's worse. It's just horrible, terrifying. And you're standing you open the door and it's like you're thinking sunshines and rainbows, and instead you have this total darkness. And you see the castle, but you see the castle, you see the castle, you know where you're going, but
right.
You're optimistic, whatever.
That's great imagery. Like the castle.
Castle is there.
Like the sun is only on the castle,
Exactly.
but the whole way up.
And
is
that the light is it's just a little bit twitching, but you're in front of the forest.
This is like one of those Joe Rogan shows where, like with Elon Musk, and they smoked a little before. No, I'm kidding.
We didn't smoke. I don't smoke personally.
I don't either. It was called, actually, we
don't do drugs.
We just made 55 lunches for a local middle school right before we're
totally can verify that. He was totally
lying.
So speaking of the castles, and I decided to pursue it. Whatever. I'm young. By the time I was 26, and I was thinking, I have nothing holds me in this country. Especially, I've heard a lot of success stories. So immigrants coming to the country and succeeding. So I decided to pursue it, and the project was by the time I was in college, also studying full time and graduating the same year. And I decided what was the biggest problem, and I have no idea why I did pursue this idea, but it was what was the biggest problem of students, the time management, I thought.
Yeah.
Which is not. Obviously, time management is the least of their problems, as they think of different stuff by the time. So I decided to build a model that will allow you to take all your syllabuses, put inside of this model, and it will allow you to see the visual of the month, and a quarter, and a visual of the entire semester. So since I was struggling to time manage, I'm a dyslexic, and time management, I need to be very precise of doing everything. Otherwise, I'm gonna get lost, and I need to do it very by structure. You have to have a structure, you know. And what I did is organize this model in Excel in the beginning, and it worked for me. And I saw the potential of bringing the problem I've solved myself, bringing to the community, you know. And I'm seeing a lot of people running around with the syllabuses, cannot make sense out of it, and what's happening. And I'm doing my research and everything, but I decided to pursue it. And I found this company, outsourcing company, that were agreed to give me some potential do this project for me potentially. And we agreed on certain money, and basically when we sent money and they started working on the project, it started delaying because of when you do projects outsource and you don't see and the biggest problem with outsourcing is that your vision and their vision never match. So whatever it is that you wanted to, like, I've explained it perfectly in this piece of paper. Yeah, but we read this way, like, and it's kind of like, how could you read this like this? I was like, no, and that was the biggest problem. But eventually, with the 5 months delay, we've launched the project. We set up, everything works perfectly, but who to sell it? How I'm going to monetize it? You know? And I never thought about it, you know, because we have no marketing plan, no nothing. No, I think like, it's going to be build the community and they will come, they will come, you know, but like very optimistic, foolish, but optimistic. And I went to knocking all the doors in CUNY, SUNY, like top people, you know. I'm saying like, listen, this is the biggest thing ever, you know. This calendar application for your students that's going to integrate syllabuses to the entire monthly perspective. That's going to be biggest thing ever. And you should have seen the people who were sitting there like, pardon me, what? And I was like, oh my God, who am I talking to? Like, these people are totally not understanding the notion of productivity problems, because they are
you were talking about school.
Yeah, 10-year people who were there for 60 years working the same position. Yeah. And this is the most comfort zone freaks. I mean, not in a bad way. Those are great people who aspire and challenge and teach people. But in terms of their knowledge and technology, how to integrate into the educational daily process, is kind of like it's not their forte, let's say, right?
Yeah.
So I've spent around 6 months knocking all the doors, trying to market it, you know, like try to understand, like, here, and showing to investors and everybody. And I went to surprisingly, speaking of Google, I went to one of the conferences with Google in the YouTube office in West Village, and I spoke with one of the CEO guys of, I don't remember, he was a VP of something, of marketing of YouTube or whatever. And I'm showing this, and it's like, yeah, good luck marketing, that's cool. And I was like, oh my God, this guy crushed me on the spot. And I was kind of like sad, because I saw potential in something, and it never worked. It worked for me, but it never worked for the public, and I was not able to scale it. I ended up shutting down the company, coming work here because I was in dead broke, couldn't find any jobs in the industry, because I didn't have, like, they were like, oh, I did this project. And we don't care. If you're an entrepreneur, go pursue entrepreneurship. Why you want to work in JP Morgan if you want to be an entrepreneur? Like, you're not going to be happy. Clearly, Jeremiah, one guy, I went to this office and I sat with him. I showed him everything. And he's like, you know what? You're a great candidate. I swear to God, but you're not going to be happy here. You know why? Because
for a job.
For the job, you're not going to be happy here. Like, I would love to hire you in a position that I cannot hire you right now, but I cannot hire you in a position I'm hiring right now, because you're going to be miserable here. And it's going to be just the choice. And I think you should never pursue a career in the big companies like Goldman Sachs or whatever, because it's not you, you know, it's your personality. It's you who is not fitable for that environment, because you're going to be always miserable. And I thanked him. I said, like, I appreciate that.
That's
You know,
great. Yeah.
I thank you. You know, it was in Newark. I went to Newark. Who does that from Brooklyn, right?
I can tell you who broke motherfuckers.
Broke men will go everywhere.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a few, everybody. Hang tight. You're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web. All right, everybody, we're back. You guys missed all the juice. That was the best part of the show, is always in the commercials.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. But some good stuff does come down there. So, again, you're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web. I'm your host, Jeremiah Fox, here with an old friend, former head bartender. We call him Tor. He's got a bunch of
really long names.
He's got a bunch
really
of
long
names.
names.
But I forgot to mention at the beginning of the show. So Tor, he worked here at, we're actually in Della right now at my restaurant in Brooklyn, doing live interviews again, which feels really great to not be on a Zoom call completely. This is still a Zoom, but you're not.
I'm not.
I once interviewed a guy that literally was around the corner from me. I interviewed the lady across the street.
Nice.
She was in her dining room. I was in my dining room. It was very odd. So this feels good. But Tor is he is the founder and CEO of Atrium Analytics, which services the hospitality industry. He's also a co-founder of Baryard.co. And he was talking on the last segment about getting his feet wet in the startup industry, particularly with the education app. Pursued that, worked for a company, and it started his own that way, and took a step back. And you had plenty of experience before you came here. How did you end up kind of in hospitality? Was it just like me, like college kid, needed money, needed food, needed drink?
Yeah, I had a little bit different experience entering hospitality industry. Coming 2011 to the United States, 2012. I couldn't speak English properly. You know, it was a very tough time, and I immigrated here by accident. In terms of, like, I won a green card. You know, like, it was we did me and my friends. We just we did it out of fun, and it worked out.
You lost the bet.
I was the only one who won, and I never expected to come to the United States in my life, and that's how I was pursuing my life over the seas. You know, in Georgia, and I won a green card, and it was like an existential question. You know, why I'm coming to the United States? You know, what am I gonna do there? And when I came to the United States, the only industry who accepted me was hospitality industry. Right. So I went to the catering company called Apogee Events in Tribeca, and I worked there for a busboy for 2 years. And it was a very, very interesting 2 years of my life, like understanding the new words like tray, like grab some water. Pour some water, red wine or white wine.
But also all the Mexican slang.
Exactly, chamaco. And I never understood why people were listening to the Mexican music. Then I understood why they were listening to the music. So it was kind of like the only industry that actually accepted me. It taught me and fed me and gave me payments to my house, to my rent. And it's kind of was, but I never thought of this. You know, I always understood hospitality industry for me is a plan B. Yeah. Because I always said plan A to be like there. But at the end of the day, it's...
I mean, you know why you have a plan B, right?
Exactly. But the thing is that where my epiphany came into where I actually started succeeding, when I've decided, listen, this is a huge market. It's a 200 I'm talking about
pre-March.
Whatever, yeah. It's a $260 billion industry across the United States. And it employs more people than any other industry. It has an impact, cultural and personal, and it's a psychology thing and everything. And why am I running away from it, you know? Why am I not take this and make the best out of it, you know? Maybe I'm the best, because once somebody told me, you never choose your industry chooses you, you know? Like, and
there's some truth to that.
Yes, I totally don't agree with it, but totally don't agree. You know, it's kind of there's both sides to it. Yeah. I agree with that, and I've decided to just become the best I can be in something that's gonna help me to stay my feet on the ground, and at the same time do project in the same industry. You know, because I was doing projects in different industries. That's why I was not be able to concentrate my will and power in the same industry, because I was doing technology business and stuff like blockchains And I've been in hospitality industry, and I was not able to concentrate neither on hospitality, neither blockchain and everything, and technology, because it's kind of throws you off when you're have a 40+ hour work at the bar and you're doing like cocktails and people come to you and talk about, oh my God, I had this problem, and it's like, yeah, I understand, and please, we're closing, you need to go.
You're like, I gotta go work on my blockchain.
And now. I had legitimately for a year and a half after I left Della, I had literally like 4 or 5 hours sleep a day working on my project and the next big thing also. And becoming like a truthful, like the first project failed because I was not dedicated to it, because I was not marketing it right. I was not thinking it through. I was being reckless. And
let's back it up a little bit, because this is what we were talking about on the break. So a couple of things he said in the first segment. One was, you had this thing that was for students, but you were marketing it to administration.
Teachers. Correct.
Right. Which it's like, that's like, you got customers that are hungry, but you're like,
I need money.
You're going to doctors to try to, or whatever. And then the other thing was about marketing.
Yeah.
So you pump all your money into the product, and then if you don't, it's hard to be your own marketing team. And especially like before social media really exploded.
Absolutely. That's
really, really difficult. Like now it's much easier, I think.
It's kind of like it's much noisier right now. It just like, it's different. You need to analyze the pinpoints right now. But because there's so many quote like marketers right now that they're posting 10,000 stuff that then your content might be lost in between. So coming back to them, why I was pursuing the administration rather than students. First of all, I was running out of resources, and I needed to. It was a beta version, and I need to. I had an investor. He told me, like, if you're gonna have a client for this, I'll invest money for you.
Yeah.
And I'll give you $50,000 for this, and I'll buy 20% of your company. It was like really high. I was not ready to give him 20%, but I said, yes, we'll talk about when time comes, and I was marketing to somebody to acquire a client, to be able to have I was pursuing B2B business model rather than B2C, but I never understood the notion of B2B in terms of educational part, when there's just so many people who are not on the verge of being a technology adversaries and like super savvy, and like it was my biggest mistake. And marketing, it's kind of like I should have like what I would have done it differently. Sure, I would have done it so much differently, like with no community, building a brand, building something. It just obscure to even think about it without actually traction and everything. And like now I know all these agile structures and Scrum and everything and project management and building this focus group and giving to try, and it's a different story. It would be a different story, but I was a kid. I was a kid out of like college who had so many what I've realized back then, that most people fail because of they're super optimistic. And this is the worst. I mean, I'm not saying you be totally pessimistic, but you have to find a balance. And actually, I was in a big conference, and I asked this question because I was struggling myself to one of the guys who is actually hospitality, the CEO of one of the burger chains of New York that is operated in New York. I asked him how you protect yourself, your business from yourself. Meaning is that when you're in there like overthinking and so many information, like so much data is coming in, changes and updates and everything, how you protect your business from yourself? And he said like, oh, I don't know how to answer the question because I'm kind of like, it's a weird question. But I thought it was very ignorant, but I think that it was the most important question that I asked myself that day.
That's a great question. Another quote I use often on the show, I think it was Simon Sinek, but it might have been another business personality who I heard said this, but he was talking about business fatalities. Yeah. And he said, the majority of business fatalities are a result of suicide. not homicide.
Oh yes.
Meaning
yes.
it wasn't like somebody else.
100%.
Going back to like my quote at the beginning,
Yeah.
like don't try to take the other buildings down.
I've heard
like,
the quote too. Yes.
You know,
yeah.
it's about you not having the will
For
anymore.
sure.
And a lot of that comes from being overly optimistic at first. And when it's not like, when you're not on the beach in Georgia within like a few months,
drinking wine,
then you're like, oh, fuck this, man. Like
Yeah.
this isn't worth it. And you put all this time in, and it's like, it doesn't really work that way. You have to be, I think optimism is key.
For sure.
Like you have to have a very, very positive internal dialogue, but you also have to be realistic. You have to be empathetic. You have to like know you're going to get knocked around. It's not about not falling. It's about getting back up.
That's a very, very powerful statement, you know, like because
you're going to fall.
There is no way like
publicly.
even if like when like I believe in everything is interconnected and everything is an example of everything.
Yeah.
When we grow up, we don't start running or walking. We start to crawl, and we fall so many times as kids. And you should always compare everything you start as you being a kid in that industry.
Like
you know?
skin knees.
Exactly. You know, like
crying.
Absolutely. And that's why important to have a mentor also, you know, somebody who can, you can ask critical questions, or he can ask, or she can ask critical questions to you, what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. But like in terms of like failure, I think that there is no business that's successful. There is no business leader who achieved something without being total like failure at some point of their lives.
Like every really successful CEO has had to have publicly like
absolutely
fallen on their face, because otherwise like you don't, adversity is the best teacher.
Absolutely.
I had this discussion with a friend, and it was just like, you have to, it was when we were closing one of our places, and it sucked, you know. And it was so public, and it's just like, fuck, man. And she just said to me like, how many like super successful CEOs and business personalities do you think never fail? Like that.
Zero.
It's just like it happens.
Unless you inherit a lot of money, then you can go to Georgia directly. No, but that's not the case.
All right, we ain't gonna go to Georgia just yet, but we are gonna take another.
That's our castle, you know, that preaches. You know, there's a great book by Ray Dalio called Principles.
Oh, yeah. Great. I love
one of the best reads I've had so far, like in terms of like for the understanding of the world of business, in terms of like seeing but never settling. You always have to keep repeating, you know, again, climbing and growing.
All right, we're gonna take another break. Hang tight. We'll be back in just a few. Everybody listening to Entrepreneurial Web. Welcome back, everybody. Once again, fire on the break.
Fire.
This man was preaching. Here with my boy Tor, former head bartender, now CEO and founder of Atrium Analytics, which is a hospitality B2B service, and also baryard.co. We're talking about on the break and before adversity, how failure can be one of the biggest teachers, and complacency. How that can be one of like the biggest killers, where we both hear a lot, and you hear personalities like Gary Vaynerchuk talking about too, like all of these people that want to hit it really hard young, make a bunch of money, and go spend their rest of their life on the beach drinking, and like what it's like. We were agreeing that every time we get to the beach, like, no. Okay, can we go back now? Like, I'm good. Like 2 days in Fire Island, and I'm like, okay, let's go back. I'm ready to get back in the fire. And that like that complacency, whatever. What was it that you said? It was Ray Dalio. Like once you get,
you always have to. There should be no certain apex you follow. You know, when you reach, you always have to see. There should be endless process of new ideas of thinking and where I can go farther, because as long as if you reach something and you think that's it, you're settling. And the whole notion of being a startupper and being an entrepreneurial person is to never settle. It's that completely goes against your idea, you know. Like, and if you're thinking of settling, don't do startups. You know, like don't waste any people's money. Don't waste your money. Just put into like IRR or whatever, like I don't know, S&P 500, and just live life and leave us alone. Just
leave us alone. Leave it to the real motherfuckers to get this done.
No, like I'm being serious, you know.
I agree.
The thing is that I've seen so many people are doing so many projects out of only because it's cool to be a startup, that it just throws away bad reputation for us.
Sure.
We've been perceived as the jobless people.
It's just like restaurants.
So you're
like,
unemployed, right? You work in the restaurant, but no, I'm actually pretty like, I'm busy a lot of times. Yeah, maybe I'm not waking up 6 in the morning, but I go to bed like 7 in the morning because I've been working all night on something.
Right. No, I think it's the same like restaurants. Like so much saturation of just like garbage, and it makes like then the stock everything goes down, and it's just like, yo, man, just stop. Like, and I mean, it's unfortunate the way this played out, but like a lot of the bad ones are just gone. And
100%.
What we saw, recently is like it was the same with startups. It was the same with all these like digital marketers.
Oh my God! Like
anybody that wasn't like 100% committed,
correct,
like the real deal, and like even more than that, like 110, 120, 150% committed. Like you're not going to go through that kind of adversity. Like there was no substance,
There was no passion. Like when they,
but no backbone either. Like no passion or no backbone.
Funny you started talking about that, about the industry, hospitality, especially that we both are operating. Like when I started my fully immersing myself with hospitality industry, understanding what I did, I listed the entire New York market. So I sat down and I listed every single restaurant there is in New York City. Me and my partner who work with me, we spent almost 2 weeks gathering and shaving the internet to get the data.
Yeah.
So to understand where is the market, like how many Italian restaurants are there, like how many.
So tell everybody exactly what Atrium does.
Atrium does basically at the most the biggest activity in our job is to help businesses promote themselves through social media, but it's not like bland social media posts where sending a photographer and he takes picture and then we post it. We build a strategy. We come to the place, we talk to the owners or management, and we listen to them. It's not like we're like doing through Photoshop, a few pictures and a few like emojis and stuff. No, it's a different. We do very target. We do send message. I believe in power of information and right information at the time. And if you align the structure plus design and plus the message to the social media content, you'll be able to build a very good connection to the audience. Because the restaurant industry is all about decision making of the people who are trying to find where to go. And when in that process, there's a few research steps, because back then it was like, oh, Yelp has this 4.7, it's the best place ever. But no. Now it's different.
Yeah.
Social, because people are becoming more technology savvy. They check Yelp first or Google or whatever, find a place because somebody recommend. Then they go to social media to see if there's an activity there. Yeah. Because if you think about the place, a lot of things can determine its current rate or current score, let's say. No rating, let's say. If you take, how can you rate Della? You can rate Della for many reasons. You can take their menu. I can take a menu of Della and say if it's a good place or not. Because if I'm seeing you have 47 items, you totally screw up because you cannot sustain this small place with the 47 items because you're going to have a lot of perishables, a lot of waste. Otherwise, it's going to be frozen everything or it's not going to be fresh. So it's a kind of like one thing because I've been in the industry a long time and I know a lot of stuff about the industry. So with what we did similar with the social media. The main selling point is that this is what people see. And when you're in between, you're trying to promote your something, you have to send a message to your customers who are trying to find you. Mm-hmm. And that message, it's not post on Instagram. It should be a strategy. It should be a consistency. It should be beautiful. It should be flawless. It should be same tone, same colors, same textures. You cannot post green, red in the same post because it becomes not attractive. It's a lot of science in it.
Fucking it all up.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of science of human behavior, what they see, how they perceive it. And the thing is that there is how our brain works is that we perceive the certain colors and we associate certain colors with certain activities. If you're gonna post a lot of brownish, this kind of environment, it's more like a rustic, and it's it gives a certain vibe. And if you're serving this kind of environment, something like upscale French cuisine,
It's a little
it's kind of
disconnect.
doesn't make
Yeah.
sense, you know, and it should be connected because
Right.
a lot of industry leaders are not paying attention to the new media outlets, which are extremely important.
Right.
And what we do basically, we do strategy analytics for social media. And we, of course, we what it is that it's in terms of, first we can give you draft and you can do it yourself, but we also say like, listen, we can do it
Maybe
for
full
you.
service,
Yeah,
yeah.
we have photographers. We have people who know this stuff. You know, they're gonna come 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, a month, and they're gonna take pictures. And it's not gonna be pictures that taken on a shaky iPhone. It's gonna be a Leica, like top-notch phone, the camera, where it's gonna be extremely well, like really good quality, and it's gonna give you edge. You know,
Right.
that's kind of like.
Definitely.
And it's gonna, like, we're gonna give you purpose to focus on your thing more, and let us do this for you.
Right.
You know. And when you show, I always showcase my previous work, and we've done some incredible jobs increasing the followership from 300 to 2,000 in a matter of not buying stuff, you know, not advertising, but only by giving the good stuff to
Right.
the people. People follow interests. People follow stories, but they don't follow pictures.
Right.
You know, that's the truth. You know.
Yeah. And so you said a couple things, and you mentioned it earlier in the show, where that moment where you realized like you weren't
Yeah.
marketing or you weren't connecting.
Yeah.
And you also just kind of mentioned it a minute ago, how using social media to find the right people.
Yeah.
Because like as a restaurant, you're like, oh, I serve food.
Yeah.
Everybody eats food, right? That doesn't mean everybody is not your potential client or
Mhm.
customer just because they eat. Like you connect
Absolutely.
with people. And I remember realizing that, like, I remember realizing that I had wasted 3 years trying to connect with the wrong people. You know, another good one is stop trying to convince a no to be a yes. Just find more yeses,
Yeah,
because like they're
absolutely.
out there, and
Yeah.
especially with the avenues we have available. And I just remember that moment. Like I remember where I was at and what I was doing when it hit me, and like it made me sick.
That's very personal.
It
Nice.
made me fucking sick to my stomach. I was just like nauseous. I was just like,
Yeah.
God, I wasted so much fucking time. But then it was just like that passed after a few minutes. I was like, okay, now it's time to get started.
Yeah.
And it really did work. I mean,
But
it wasn't like,
think about this. It might never have ever occurred to you.
Right.
So I totally, like, I feel your like view, because I've been in the same position.
no, when you said it, I knew you knew exactly that moment,
Yeah.
like that I was talking about.
Yeah.
I knew you had had it too, and it fucking sucks, but it's better to have
But
realized
it's great.
it is.
It's
It
great.
is.
It's a precious moment, you know, because nowadays people don't die from polio by the age of 40. They live longer, so we can explore stuff beyond 40, because back then you had to be settled 40 years and you have to have a retirement plan and everything. Now you can explore, make mistakes till 60, 70.
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
not? Because the thing is that the world is changing, like especially technology accelerated change so fast, because the change we're seeing today, and change was, let's say, from 1910 to 1920, and today what we have from 10 to 20, like, it's going to be like several exponential growth in an unimaginable way. You know how many things changed for the past 10 years? Like
The past three.
past 3, yeah,
6 months.
absolutely. Absolutely. That's an outlier.
Yeah.
But what I think is just change, it's always an aha moment.
Yeah.
And it's good.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter when.
It might feel funny for a minute.
Yeah, of course. You know, because the greatest ideas are simplest ones.
Yeah.
They're not, because, like, you know, what I tell to people who I work with, or who I socialize or spend my time with, you know, what's the biggest problem of humanity? Overthinking. You know, be simpler, be easier. You know, because you start overthinking, everything goes to hell. Everything goes to, like, you becoming this stuck-up person who is hard to connect, hard to understand, because it's constantly living in a world of overthinking and thoughts of different people's thoughts, and it's kind of like that's what screws up a lot of stuff.
And it skips over. I think there's not enough emphasis put on the basics.
Absolutely.
Like, masters love the basics, and if you really want to get to that point,
Yeah.
where you're the guy that has the
Yeah.
option to go hang out on the beach
Yeah.
in Georgia, you better be a fucking master.
Absolutely.
You know, like you're not going to get there by
Absolutely.
skipping steps and by being like all fancy and overthinking things. Like you have to like dredge in the mud.
Oh
and,
my
like,
God.
really
No,
get
not
good at
dredge.
that.
You have to understand the mud in a consistency level. You know, when you know mud better than mud itself
You
knows
have
this.
to taste the
Taste,
mud.
of course. If you don't know taste by mud, mud by taste. Sorry, my English. You have to, like, mud, it becomes you and you become mud, and then you rise from it. It's like Batman from Dark Knight rises.
All right, we're gonna take one more quick break. Hang tight. We'll check back with you in just a minute. Peace.
Peace.
All right, everybody, we're back. Once again, you're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web. I'm here with the founder and CEO of Atrium Analytics, which is a social media service for the hospitality industries. Also, co-founder of Bartender.co. What's that all about? And what's the story with you're doing some
Yes,
Zoom,
so basically
Zoom thing here next week?
Yes, seems like I've been integrating my life in the hospitality industry. Bartender is basically an upscale cocktail catering service. I have a few companies who I work with, and they constantly I do events. And last year we did almost 60 events for this.
Nice.
And
Great.
it was like I have a few great bartenders who I know. I'm more like a person who communicates and that settles the deals and talks and everything, rather than actually doing bartending jobs. But nowadays everything changed. And listen,
I've been a bartender for like the last
I
180
know,
days. No.
The thing is that everything is so changing that either you adapt or you die, because this will kill like so many. And this is funny, you said previously, one thing is true. Know that in the industry, like people like yourself will survive because you dedicate to this a lot of time and work. I've been working in this industry for a long time, and I'm seeing the pattern. Pattern is very simple. People who work and dedicate their life into the working in this environment, they will survive, and who want to do it. But people who open the restaurant because of have a lifestyle and just go there, maybe even manage it daily, but it's not there actually contributing to it in terms of like, it's not like you're going and starting a host stand and just welcoming the customers and sitting them down, and it's more than that. It should be like integration of your existence to this, you know. And this is what I see. We used to serve like almost like a 20 restaurants in terms of like whatever we had the customer base, but nowadays like it's all gone. It's all gone because what we're seeing, there's a lot of corporate, and half of them are closed permanently, half of them they're trying to
hiatus,
oh my God, and the customers of their customers are afraid of everything now. And since the owners are not dedicating to this, they cannot survive because they have too much spending, too much overhead, too much people to hire, too much people to pay. And because they're not willing to dedicate themselves to the industry, they're dedicating their money to the people who don't want to be there, but it's just a job for them, you know? And it's kind of like weird thing in the industry, but it's always going to be like this. It's going to be 2 years of horrible times for the industry, but it's going to be different after 2 years. But we're going to have some great restaurants going out of business for some time, but there's going to be different restaurants.
We're going to see, there's going to be a total renaissance in a lot of these
100%, 100%.
Because it's going to be the people that really were legit will survive, and then the next hungry generation. And it'll be easier because I got a offer yesterday for a spot like primetime Broadway in the middle of the city, 3,000 square feet, huge. And
$200.
No, it was 11 grand a month. And I was like, I mean, that's still a lot. Don't get me wrong. I didn't take it, but I was like, that shit would have been 40, 50, 60.
Easy.
6 months ago. Like,
easy.
And those prices are going to continue to fall. And hungry motherfuckers are going to come in that want to be legit, that want to prove themselves, they're like so passionate, and they're going to crush it.
I totally support the thesis. I think it's going to be very.
I have a thesis now.
I mean, in terms of like, there's a notion that New York is dead, right?
Bullshit.
No, I mean, it still has the right to exist. I can say that because there's a statistical chances of it being both being true.
Right. But
what I can
right
say
now, the dead things are dead. The dead thing, like the things that were dying, they're dead.
What I think that in terms of what this is for me says, that it's going to bring a lot of corporate restaurants to New York.
I mean, those are the ones that are leaving. Though.
Exactly. Right.
And to me, that's not life.
No. What I see right now, corporate restaurants who are heavy with money right now, they're going to be able to occupy those spaces you said right now. And
that'll always be in the mix. They're not going away completely.
Yeah. I totally understand that. But for some time, I think it's going to be something. But totally, we're going to experience a renaissance in the next few years. I've had this very interesting conversation a few months ago with this one big hedge fund manager, and he said to me one thing: these guys are all managing like 50 different portfolios in like 30 different industries,
right?
From education to hospitality. And one thing he said to me that I went through everything. I went through 9/11. I went through dot-com boom. I went through mortgage crisis, financial crisis. Nothing close to whatever it is right now.
Yeah.
Because stock market right now is high in terms of big cap companies because they're consolidated, they have heavy on cash flow, and they can survive and the people see and they pour money in there. But if you will take a stock market of the small companies, actually, Bill Ackman was talking about the Pershing Square Capital guy. He was talking about this, that if you take a like index for the small businesses, that would be like 80% gone.
Yeah.
Where you have a stock market of the big businesses is like Tesla is a tenfold, and it for some, like for me, it's a bubble.
Yeah.
And it's a certain bubble because it's a people like they put too much trust in the companies who they don't know. Oh, they have great product, but how do you know? You don't even drive Tesla. You don't even know what Tesla is. Because they're building a factory in summer in China. I mean,
it's because the CEO be smoking weed on Joe Rogan.
But I told him one thing. It's not. Imagine CEO of Tesla, Elon Musk, being removed tomorrow from the company. What's going to be the value of? Because at that point, Tesla's value at least $250 billion out of all 500 billion, whatever it's worth right now, is worth Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And faith in one person, I don't believe that people should be assigning so much faith to people, to the single individuals. Yeah. Jeff Bezos is a great entrepreneur, but you should not put all your faith in him, because it's not smart. You have to be vigilant. It doesn't matter if propositions. Jeffrey Epstein or whatever, he was a great guy before everything came out, Everybody thought that he was a great guy before everything actually be revealed who he was. Right. And this is what scares me in terms of these business leaders, because we don't know so much stuff about them and we're putting so much faith in them. I think that there should be not idea of entitlement that since you created this company, you should be always praised as a great leader, because leadership and success is not defined by one achievement, is defined by a series of endless achievements. And if you will sustain your achievement and success till the end of your days, I can praise you, I can talk about it. I said, there was a stand-up guy, he created this company A, but I can only name few people in the business world who I can say they live up to the hype. Like Warren Buffett is one of them. I think I would totally.
But it goes back to what we said at the beginning about like wanting to cash in your chips quick and get on the beach. Like people are doing that with people and ideologies as well, without really vetting them and like going through and seeing like what it just doesn't work that way.
Robin Hooders, these people who are investing money. I always find myself in the middle of the conversation. Millennials, I'm millennial too, but I completely don't feel myself as a millennial. Maybe I'm a little bit more conservative about that. But when I talk to them, a lot of my friends who are like a little bit in the on the edge, they're starting investing, becoming like day traders. And why would you do that? Yeah. You don't know this.
Maybe it's a little fun. You want to do it on the side, but
I put $5,000 in it, and I trade day and night, and it's not right, because people like you're pumping up the market, and their market crushes, and who is the fault? You guys.
Yeah. We're going to have to wrap it up. Where can people find out about your companies, and if anybody wants to get in contact with you?
My contact, LinkedIn is the best case. My Instagram is going to be posted in Jeremiah's. It's Tor Amiran. @Tor Amiran. Barryard Co, atriumanalytics.com. That's my like where you can find me, and that's about it.
You have website?
Yes, Barryard Co and atriumanalytics.com.
Awesome. Well, thanks, man. Thanks
Absolutely.
for coming on. It was great to see you again.
Likewise, like
keep
always.
this up, and I'll see you next week.
For sure.
We do this thing.
Yeah,
do a
absolutely.
little secret thing here at the restaurant.
Secret.
All right. Thank you all for listening. Check you out next week. I got another startup guy coming on, also food industry. He's the one of the founders of what's the name of the company? Something Zero. It's
0 to 1.
Sorry, Adam. it's like a zero carbon footprint to go containers.
Nice.
They're like famous. World Health Organization did a thing online. Well, check my social media. You'll get it. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Listen to the Entrepreneurial Web. Peace.
Take care.